Okay, this is a question concerning the course we just had in the weekend. And it concerns how to understand the reactions of the body, your body perceptions. And it relies on the fact that when you meet something that is positive to you, you feel attracted to, you will tend to go closer. And when you feel something that is not good, you'll tend to move away from it. And this process of sympathy, antipathy, you can refine into asking the body about different things. And you can get a very reliable answer to it. And that is what you can use when you use the counting method. And we will refine that again in the next workshop concerning the course. Okay, you just used the word triggered. And what does that mean, triggered? Yeah, that's exactly it. So in general, if you are free, you meet a challenge and you decide left or right, so or so. But if you have a trauma in this, on this topic, you will become this triggering. You will become triggered because the subconscious will try to save you from this challenge by interfering with a procedure that prohibits you from entering into the interaction. And it will do it before you catch up with your conscious mind. Somebody says a word and you just break in. No, it's not like that. And afterwards, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interfere here, or, but you know, it's already done. And afterwards, if you are able to, you can maybe grasp that something was triggered and I didn't have the chance. And when you didn't have the chance, then you know there is a trauma. What you already know, you can go back to your birth or the first day in school and you can look at it from outside and you can test it. Is there a load on this event, this experience? So you don't have to see the result of it. And this also means that you can take out the dangerous part of it, the result of the traumatization. You can take it away before it happens. This means a person gets traumatized in birth or childhood, and with 60 becomes some very bad illness and dies. So if this person with 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years had paid attention, he could have removed this trauma and stayed alive and happy until 120. By paying attention. And in this way, you can actually look into the future also and see what happens this year. Are there any dangerous moments for me? What happens next year, the next decade? And suddenly, oh my God, in 2033, there is a very dire situation. And I can look into this situation and I can track it back. Maybe not even in this life, into a previous life. And I can see, oh, there's a very dangerous thing that might happen and might end my life in 2033. But because I now know about it, I can remove the triggering. I can remove the safety procedure that is installed in order to prevent me from experiencing what is going to happen, and that at the same time prevents me from being free to make a choice. So when I meet the bear and I'm traumatized, I try to hide. And the bear thinks, okay, I just need to put ketchup on and I can eat him. But if I'm free, I can see, okay, hello, bear. I think I climbed the tree. Maybe not. Okay, you're free. You can make a choice. And this is what you do. You look into the future and you find the dangerous points, and you can go back and find the course, and you can say, okay, this safety program, I better take it away. And then I'm free and I can see, okay, 2033, was there a challenge? Okay, it's forgotten. It's nothing. And when you come to 2033, nobody cares because it's gone. You have to become aware either when it happens or look back and find the moments where I start an argument and I find a pattern. It's always the same. I say this and she says that. Okay, maybe there is something to it. Or I have never any money. How can it be? I see stupid people around me. They get lots of money. Maybe I do something that's not so clever. Maybe I have an issue here with money earning. Or I never get a good, each time I meet a lady, something breaks it up. That's a pattern. And anytime you see a pattern, might be something to it. And you can dive right in and find, and this is refined in a method with the innate, and we cannot go in depth with it, but you will get a pattern, and no, not a pattern. You'll get a system that you can approach anything, any problem that you might try to, or you might want to resolve. And the point being that if I have an issue, I find a pattern, I know most certainly the subconscious has installed an emergency program to protect me, and it has done it for a course. And this course, it has a signature, and you can follow like a thread backwards and find it, because there is only one course for an issue. It's not really true. The same looking issue can have many courses, but each part of the issue has one course, and they are connected. And with your innate abilities, you can find this thread and go back and find it. Okay, childhood, birth, whatever, that something happened in relationship with father or school or whatever, you can find enough details that you can resolve this problem. Because back then, sometime I got overwhelmed and the subconscious said, we're not going to experience that again, are we, Ole? No, 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 we are not. So we make a program that prohibits this to happen. And sometime I will say, okay, I can do it. Next time it happens, I can do it. Okay, subconscious says, we delete this program and we hope it's going good. I think the answer to explains it. Are you free or are you unfree? If you're standing up to whatever it is, you have the choice. Hello, bear. What am I going to do in this encounter? Am I going to stand my ground, say, I'm bigger than you, bear? Okay, he says, and goes away. I was not traumatized. But the moment I feel the trigger, you understand the difference. So you will know very well if you start to pay attention. That's the whole thing, pay attention. What happens first? Do I feel a trigger, or am I free to act? I'm sure you have, most of you have experienced it in confrontation with, even with a loved one. Somebody does something and poof, there comes from me something that is very intimidating. And I didn't want to say it. And I don't really know how it happened. Because this is the trigger from outside, and the program is started immediately. And milliseconds after your choosing is abilited, is possible. But the subconscious hits in simultaneously. You have no choice to do the free choice before the subconscious interacts. So you can only know that in aftermath, that here I have an example of the subconscious interacting with a security program. And you will know that in order for this not to happen again, in order that I have the freedom next time, I must resolve this trigger program. But the first thing is to realize this is a trigger. And for many of us, I mean, I've been living for decades without really understanding, oh, I think there is something. I've been doing this for again and again and again. Seems that there might be something equal to it. I don't know how stupid one can be, but we are used to this way of living, and someday it becomes too aversive to enter into this program and say, okay, do we really have to repeat this sequence? I say this and you say that, and I say this and you, oh, no, I don't want to do it again. And yet it continues until you consciously break it. And you can do it at will with you from your head, but it's very, very difficult. The simple way is to contact subconscious and say, hello, the war is over. This event back then, it's over. I'm back in control. You can relax. Okay, he says, this program is deleted. I'm free again. But on my own, subconscious does not take care of this anymore. This also makes the big difference between the human being and the animal, because any animal has the subconscious only. There is no free will. I cannot make a deal with the horse or the bear. Oh, if you do this, I do that. No, you cannot. They have their programs, subconscious programs, and they react and act accordingly. And therefore, they are very efficient and very quick. And in many studies, monkeys and even pigeons, birds, are much quicker than human beings in pursuing tasks, because they don't think about it, simply because they can't think about it and they have no free will. Just boom, boom, boom. But a human being is gifted with the ability to make choice. It takes a little further. It takes some more time, but gives us so much richer life if we are not traumatized. These emergency programs, the animals have them too. When the mouse sees the cat, immediately this possibility of an emergency program is initiated. The mouse gets stressed, but within seconds, this situation is solved. Either the mouse is eaten or it is not eaten. And in both cases, usually there will be no trauma. Only if you drop an animal in a bucket of water, you can traumatize it. It swims and swims and swims, and there is no end, and you pick it, take it, grip it, and it cannot swim anymore, and it's over. And you know you can beat a dog, you can traumatize it when it knows there is no end to this. It is overwhelmed. But usually the animals get out of this dangerous situation either by fleeing or fighting its way through. So we are used in this strange world to not react to our body perceptions. You even hear on the clinic when with the small children, the mother is explained, do not pick the child up when it screams. Do not give in to it, because it will take over. The child is, so to speak, dangerous to the mother, and the mother has to keep a distance to the child. Do not sleep with the child. Let the child have its own bed early on. And in this way, the child learns that the bodily perceptions are nothing to react to. The child feels unsafe and cries, and the mother knows, oh no, let it cry. The child feels hungry, and the mother said, okay, there's still quarter of an hour until you shall have your eating, your food. Or the child feels not very good because it has this diaper on. It doesn't feel good to do things there, and it tells the mother, and the mother says, okay, but you only had this diaper for 1 hour. You can have it for another. And all time the body says to the child, I need attention. And the child can only say, sorry, pal, I can't help you. And in this way, the bodily perceptions are being toned down. And because this person system is very efficient, these messages are more or less shut down. And you come into school and the teacher says, now I'm speaking. And at home at the table, mother says, silent children. Now we have our meal and be quiet. And in this way, we learn to not react, not pay attention to our own bodily perceptions, not even to our feelings. That's another case. So all that means that through centuries, no, decades, we're not that old. Through decades, we are traumatized. So that's the one thing, to get rid of all these age-old traumas so that we can start to re-experience our body. Get authentic. That means that body and soul and spirit are in accordance. And actually, it's not until then that you really can start to live in the moment. Because until then, you're caught in all these programs that keeps your freedom away. So we have to start in one end, take away old trauma. And then we have to start paying attention to what happens when I meet the world and start to utilize the new freedom. When the old emergency programs are dissolved, how do I use my new freedom? Do I just continue with the old habits? I can, and many do, but you can also start living and choosing to use this freedom that the life becomes juicy. You know, we dissolve it in the same way it was created. And this is where the telepathy comes in. Because I experience myself as an association. There is a physical body, there is, can call it the life force of the body, there is a soul that has feelings, and there is a mind. You may say there is a spirit part of me. And when I enter a situation where I do not have the control, let us say I'm driving my car and I'm entering a curve and the speed is too high. I can feel it up front. This is not going good. Maybe you have had experience like that. You know, you see the tree or the cliff. This is going bad. And this is telepathically, this is broadcast. And the body, which is its own entity, it becomes this message that now my master is out of control. And when I say, oh, dear body, I'm out of control, you have to take care of yourself. And just before the car crashes into the tree, I loses my consciousness. I do not experience the impact. Even if I do not lose my consciousness, I am out of my mind. And this means I, the spiritual being, leaves the body and leaves the body to crash into the tree. And the body knows how to do it. It says, okay, I take over. And it enters into an emergency state and retracts all muscles in order to meet whatever happens. And this means the state of emergency is created after a telepathic message. If now this crash into the tree, it wasn't that bad. Within some seconds, I'm back again in my conscious state, and I'm able to shake it off. I can say, okay, subconscious body, you did it. Oh, I'm so glad that you survived, because I've always survived. I'm eternal, but it's fine. And I'm back in charge. And there will not be an emergency program, which we call a trauma. But if this happens and I end up in the hospital for weeks with operations and so on, this situation is not solved. I am not back in charge, because the body consciousness has this emergency situation, this system, only for very short time things, like the mouse. If the mouse has to run for 4 days to get away from the cat, it will become traumatized. Only 2 minutes, something like that. When it moves out over this time span, that is created a trauma. So now, if you traumatize an animal, it has no chance of ever coming back on its own, because nature does not know this. And as a human being, we are unconscious, we are at the same level like the animals. So in order to dissolve such traumas, we have to do it consciously. And therefore, I say, we grasp the event. I crashed into the tree. I try to connect to this event. I find the thread from now back to this event. And I, so to speak, get hold of the record down in the subconscious. And now I tell the subconscious, exactly this record. You can tear it apart, because I'm in charge again. And when this happens, the muscles, the nerves, and so on that have been tense from back then, 20 years ago maybe, in this car crash, they will be relieved. And the tissue can again be flooded and neutralized and cleansed, detoxed, actually, detoxed after 20 years of traumatization. Therefore, it is a telepathic message that creates the trauma, and it is a telepathic message that dissolves the trauma. And in another way, you can say, for that to happen, the body has to feel the love of the spirit being. Dear body, I am here to make you safe and feel loved, and the intention that I have is driving happiness, nothing but. And the problem is we are not used to work consciously telepathic. We are not used to pay attention because we are used to pay attention to the outer physical world. And we take all data in and process it like one. What happens on an etheric level, soul level, mental level, the ideas, we all take it in one picture. We see a thing with 4 legs and say, oh, chair, table, okay, it's a table, done. 4 legs, tail, ears, okay. It's a cow, no, it's a cat, done. We see somebody laughing, okay, it's funny here, but maybe it's not funny. But we stop there. We judge so quickly. And in order to get into these things, we have to start very consciously observing before we judge. So there's a lot of learning. You have to take away bad habits, could you say, from this physical. They're very efficient in the physical world. But if you want to get into these things, you have to be very discerned about what is a feeling, what is happening in the body, what do I think about this? Because you cannot think telepathic. Nothing happens when you think. It is reflection, and it doesn't change anything. But if you start paying attention to something, as opposite to thinking, the thinking is oftentimes a reflection of a memory. But if you start paying attention, then it happens. And the best example is when suddenly something very, very beautiful happens. Oh, and you're just taken by it, and everything around disappears. You're outside of time and space. You are just fully taken by this experience. And there you are fully attentive, full attention on this, what happens. And within some seconds, you start thinking about them, and you're out of this magic room again. And within the thinking sphere, you are in time and space. But in this moment of awe, you're outside of time and space. And being outside of time and space, this is where things happen. This is where you can be in telepathic contact with your body or anybody. And there is no space and no time in this world of telepathy. And that is why we can connect to anybody in any time, forward or backwards. This sounds crazy, but this is how it is. And this is where, in this realm, is where we are all one. We are not all one in our reflective heads. There we are all disagreeing on everything. But when we enter into this other sphere, we are all one. And there is only love or not love. There isn't really anything else. Because love is life. So you can say when you are traumatized, life is on hold. In order to experience and make choices, you have to get out of the cages, out of the chains. Until then, you are a slave. And we are living in a slave system where all our organizations, structures in the society are built upon this ability to chain and enslave us. So when we meet in the street, we meet the policeman, and we try to tell him something. He says, I'm the one in charge. I pose the questions and you answer. Or in military, or at the job, do your work and shut up. It's not always so, I know, but yeah. We all know that there are things that are morally acceptable, and there are things that are not. So we shouldn't kill each other, should we? No, of course not. It's not acceptable. There are lots of things that are not acceptable. And if you look back in history, many of these moral codexes are easily recognizable, that they are connected to life itself. And yet, with time, these codex, these laws of moral, have become disconnected from life. And then they may even become come into conflict with life. And when you mentioned the feet, the little child playing with his feet, and the next moment, we as parents draw stiff-soled shoes on this child. And what happens? The contact with the earth, with the world, changes dramatically. So, and it's not even okay to walk barefoot. Why not? What is it about walking barefoot that is not okay? Is there anything morally wrong with walking barefoot? How could that be an insult to anybody? And yet it is. There are lots of places you do not enter barefoot. And there we are, with all the work that we do in the INNATE, we cannot rely on moral. We have to commit to life. So in a way, everything that sustains life is outside of morality. It is amoral. So when we work to heal a trauma, it's not about who is guilty or who did what to who. It's about the experience of being overwhelmed, the experience of being guilty. And we all did things sometime that was not okay. If it was immoral or if it was against life, doesn't matter in this case. So, but we speak about regaining a thriving happiness from the bottom of our body up through the soul and into the spirit in a harmony, not in harmony with some politically induced moral codexes. There are different things. If you cut off an arm, it's not only the trauma, it is the missing arm. If you let a chronic disease last for decades, it may eventually destroy the body. But until this happens, no, I start over. This chronic disease has its origin. And our medical world has fucked up this. and tries to explain this with genetics or something the like. And we know for a fact the medical science until 60 years ago developed the stress theory, which understood, and it's still there, although it's covered totally up, which understood what happens when the body becomes traumatized. The processes that are started with an emergency program, they are very, very unhealthy, but they are meant to last only for minutes. When the mouse tries to outrun the cat, there is no power over for the internal organs. Everything is put into running and surviving. And this means there's no nutrient for heart or liver or digestion. Nothing. And in the shocked state, you will, if you have experienced it, you will know you have no taste, you do not smell, you only experience the danger. And this situation means that the body starts deteriorating immediately and clogging up with waste materials. But because the mouse only has to run seconds, very shortly after, if it survives, it will, and within some minutes, it has rejuvenated and everything is fine. It sits outside and nags on its nut again. But if you keep going, if this keeps going through years and years and years, you will have this, what we call chronic diseases. And this very basically means tissue that is devoid of the life, building up waste materials and without being replenished. So when you take away the message telepathically, the war is over, the cat is gone, whatever, this program is deleted and blood starts flushing through the tired tissue again. And these chronic diseases will eventually disappear. Maybe not what they have caused through the decades, because you could have become crippled in this time, which way make it not reversible. And therefore you can start out with, okay, I have pain in my shoulder, I have pain in a tooth, and you can take directly, okay, there is something here, and I can take it away. Oh, the pain disappears. It's very tight connected. But there might also be things where you work and work and work and work and do not find, because causes can be very, very far behind in different previous lives and so. But in principle, yes. And with the skills that you may develop, you can also directly access a body and ask for the state. And this, what happens in the body when it is not flushed with fresh blood in all tissue, it starts working in an acidic way. And this, when it does that for a short time, it understands it as an emergency. But as time passes, the tissue starts to rebuild and adapt to this acid situation. And this is a precursor for cancer. And the more of the tissue that works in a solely acidic way, the more the body deteriorates, because this acidic state cannot uphold the electricity that is needed for the layered body fluids, which actually manages the circulation. The circulation of body fluids is not created by the heart, but by the electric differences in the layered body fluids. And if the body is not flushed with fresh blood, these electric layers break down and the body is gravitated, and you become fluid in the legs and heart problems. The heart starts to operate as a pump, which it is not meant to, and it very quickly breaks down because it's not meant to pump the blood, it's meant to regulate the blood. It's all known science, only the medical world will not know about it because you cannot earn money on it. And by the way, it is all touched upon in my book, so you can find the sources, you can find the science and grasp the idea behind it. Chinese scientists take the step and say this electricity is a sign of the qi. It may not be the qi itself, but you can measure the amount of qi in the electricity in the cells and in the body tissue, and even in the way the body fluids are layered and how the fluids can pass through the body without the influence of the gravity. And this is the life force that works uninfluenced by gravity, which can bring juices from the ground up in trees 100-meter high. This is the opposite as the gravity. And you destroy it with the trauma, and therefore trauma or emergency is for emergency only, and get out as quick as possible, not a decade later. So we usually take what we have gotten and share it with all of the world, knowing that there is so much suffering out there, and we pay attention to all that which is without attention, to all the suffering that is caused because of the unlearned paying attention. And we focus our loving attention undisturbed by the thoughts, focusing the loving attention in all the sphere of fear, encapsulating the earth for a short moment. We know that what we do is just a drop in the sea, in the ocean, but that if everybody dared to be it, we would change it. We would change the ocean. So in this way, we can come back to the room. And I thank you for your participation. I hope to see you again. I hope that everybody has the contact to our website and to us if need be. Thank you.